What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. So if you guys haven't, go ahead and smash that like button because this is going to be a fire episode. I've had Darren on this channel before. It's an episode called California White Boy Banging Sureños in the California prison system. The video hit. It got over like 30,000 views. So if you guys haven't, I'll go ahead and link that in the description for you to check that out. But we kind of had after Darren watched the video, well, you know what? I'll go ahead and let him explain. Darren, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing? I'm glad to be back on here. Yeah, me and Josh did the video, the first one, and it kind of like what it did was it took me back to a place in my life that I really, a lot of people that are, ex-gang members and stuff, like they don't really want to relive a lot of that, even though I believe that certain things in your life, it actually leads you to the better place that you're in your life later on in life. You know what I mean? So if I hadn't gone through a lot of that stuff, there ain't no telling where I would have ended up. I probably wouldn't have met my wife and a lot of different things. But after watching the video, I just really I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling, having to, relive a lot of that stuff because it was probably some of the worst times of my life when I was 19 years old, starting off in the California Department of Corrections. And just to go and have to relive that, because I really try not to think about it too much anymore, but to actually go back and relive it again and then watch the video. I wasn't sure I was gonna even do the second video. I was gonna try to distance myself from the whole thing, but I decided, if something that I could say in my testimony will help the next person not make the same mistakes that I did. And don't let the title of the video fool you just because it says white boy banging Sureños, because I know a lot of dudes that grew up in neighborhoods and stuff that aren't Mexican, that aren't Chicano, and they ran with the homies, even black dudes. I know a lot of those types of individuals. And so I decided to come back and do the second part for you guys.
That's what's up, man. Well, I'm glad to have you back on the channel. I think you got a good story. And like you were saying about the title, especially there was a lot of comments, and it seemed like a lot of the comments were coming from California. And I feel like that state compared to the rest of the United States, like in Florida, we have white bloods, we have white Latin kings, we have white GDs, we have, it's all mixed. Yeah, so when we were in that episode, we were at your first prison bid. And what prison were you in?
I started off in Tehachapi, went through reception there, and then I got shot up to Jamestown. I guess they were going to try to send me to fire camp. And a lot of people were asking questions like, well, how do you end up in so many joints? Well, when you keep getting your points jacked up for fucking up, that you're going to get sent to a different level prison yard at some point. You're not going to stay level one if you keep getting into fights and riots and getting caught with dope and shit. They're going to keep jacking your points up and you end up all over the place. So I went from Tehachapi up to Jamestown. They realized that my points were too high to go to a fire camp because of my crime. And then they shot me down to Ironwood, which is Southern California, down here by the pretty close to the Mexican border.
So that, like what you were just saying, man, that's funny because you could get on this channel and say you did 20 years flat at one prison and someone's going to be like, oh, he was checked in at that prison. Like somebody always has something to say, you know what I'm saying? And you in Florida, you can go to multiple different prisons and they could just roll your shit up one night for no reason at all. They don't need like more points or anything so. I don't know. I just said that because I think it's crazy. Like someone always has something to say. What this is about is you being in the depths of hell and bringing your life out of that shit and being productive member of society with a family and turning your life around. That's what this is about. And that's why I do this. So when you were in Ironwood, man, like how is that time there, like as far as like violence, corruption, and did you have family that were supporting you when you were in this time?
Yeah, it was weird pulling up to Ironwood because I was at a level 2 prison. They shot me up to level 3. So when you roll up to Ironwood, now you got to understand that the way it works in California, it's like you got Northerners, you got Southerners, you've got Asians, you've got whites, you've got border brothers. They all run in their own different cliques, and then you got cliques within inside of those races that are clique that run together. So I was used to being up north in Northern California where you got Northern Mexicans on the yard, and then you get shot all the way down to Southern California, way down south, and there's no Northern Mexicans. It's just Southern. It's just Southern Mexicans down there, and there's a lot of politicking even between like different areas, like the Inland Empire where I'm from, and Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego. Like a lot of those dudes, they all click up with each other. Even though if shit hit the fan on the yard with another race, you know, they're all gonna ride together. But like when shit's cool and it's peacetime and like ain't nobody really tripping, it's like, you know, there's a lot of politicking in between those different groups of the same race. And it tripped me out because up north it ain't like that. Up
Yeah.
north, it's all about everybody sticking together. The Southerns sticking together against the Northerns, and when shit kicks off, then everybody's in the same car. So it was a lot different down in Ironwood. The violence level is definitely it's crazy. It's hot as fuck down there. It's 126 degrees in the middle of summer. You got, you know, guys are irritated. You're laying in cells on lockdown, and the air conditioning sucks. You're coming out pissed off. You know, whatever's going on. You know, during the lockdown, when people finally getting out, you know, it's just gonna crack off again. Just 6 months at a time, you're on lockdown, and it's just so hot down there. It's just like, you know, everybody's on edge. Everybody's irritated, you know, by a lot of shit, and it doesn't help. You know what I mean? That you're down there in the middle of the desert like that. So.
Yeah. And do you feel like, man, I know like when there's a big, you know, situation on the yard in Florida, sometimes they'll lock down the whole camp for days. And like what you were saying is with it being hot and all the tensions high after that, it's almost like they do that knowing that when they let everybody out, another situation is just going to pop off. Is that how it kind of happens there?
Yeah, well, they're never going to keep anybody locked down indefinitely. They have to let you out at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And normally when they do, like, you know, business is going to get handled one way or another. Like they're going to handle the business. The tension is going to be there. And if the shit doesn't get squashed, it's going to get extended into the next, until they let you out the next time. And normally it ends up in motherfuckers getting stabbed, riots on the yard, people getting their heads smashed in with locks and shit. And you know, it's like it's just a part of like, it's the same thing in every prison that you go to. It's like, it's always going to be something over drugs. It's always going to be something over somebody disrespecting another race somehow. And then, and the smallest things in there turn into big shit. You know what I mean? Out here, you can let shit go. If somebody looks at you the wrong way or says the wrong shit, you can let it go. But in there, you can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know. When you were in there, like you said, drugs and stuff, like in Florida, the Tucci, which is like K2, is like, dudes, killing people down here, and they're twacked out of their mind. Like they have an actual dorm on a compound called like the Goop dorm, where everyone just lays on the ground throwing up blood and shit. What drug did you see in the California prison system where like it was just, you know, destroying lives?
Well, I know for a fact, like the white boys in prison, their big thing is that they don't really let their people fuck around with meth, you know. They don't want them doing it. The shit makes you act funny. It makes you think different. Makes you make moves that you normally would never make.
Right.
Definitely. But heroin, dude, heroin, obviously you got dudes that smoke their little weed and shit in there, you know, if they can get it. But heroin's a big thing. Yeah, I've walked to homeboy cells of mine and seen them lay there on their bunk OD'd. You know what I'm saying? Like they died from shooting up or whatever. But it's always a big problem in California is heroin, dude, for sure.
When you got to prison, man, like, did you experience like a culture shock when you first got there?
It wasn't so much a culture shock because I was used to running around with these types of individuals in the streets anyway. Like, you know, I come from a family that has a lot of drug addiction, a lot of alcoholism. Everybody in my family's been to prison. My sister spent 8 years in prison in California. All my uncles back in the 80s, they were doing time back when shit was really popping. Prison's different now. It ain't like it was back then, but it wasn't so much of a culture shock. It was just when you're young, you really like, it could be a scary place to go to at a young age, you know what I'm saying? Because like you're going in there with dudes that are 5 times your size, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's intimidating. You're going in there a little skinny motherfucker and you see these dudes walking around with 17, 18-inch arms, tatted back, beards. And you're like, holy fuck, this is crazy, man. But you got to survive. There's no way out of it. You have to do what you got to do. You know what I mean?
So like, what was your programming like when you were in prison? For me, it was, you know, work out twice a day, eat good, gamble, do shit like that. Like, how did you find your routine when you were locked up?
It's a great question because like the first couple terms that I did, I was young. I really didn't give a fuck about trying to better myself at all. Like I spent a lot of my time, you know, politicking with homies on the yard and shit and getting involved in a lot of shit that will get you a lot more time or get you fucking killed. And the first couple of times I spent my time in negativity, you know. So this last term that I did, I literally spent the entire 5.5 years pretty much trying to avoid and stay away from that nonsense because I knew that I was a two-striker. The next case that I catch, whether it's an inside or it's on the outside, I'm gonna be washed up. I'm getting 25 to life. And I tattooed 25 to life on both of my wrists when I was in there as a reminder, like every time I see it, like this is what you're facing, you know?
How does that work in California? The 25, the 3-strike thing? Like I kind of have an idea, but for anybody at home watching, you know, Florida, you can go to prison 20 times. You can get literally like a K letter on your tag. How does it work with the 3-strike in California?
Well, the 3-strike law, man, it's no joke, especially if you got violent crimes, and that's what they're for. You know, they pretty much wanted to scare people out of committing violent crimes, because once you commit 3 violent crimes, the third one, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're going down for 25 to life. Like that's a mandatory minimum sentence for a third striker. So I have to live with that hanging over my head for the rest of my life. So I understand that, like, for me to change my mindset the last time I went in was detrimental to me being a success out here. I had to change my mind state. I didn't want to come out here and hang out with the homies no more. I didn't want to come out here. I mean, I'm 43 years old. I'm gonna be 44. You kind of pretty much, I had to force myself out of that because I'm like, I'm not gonna come in here and do life. There's no way. I got too much to live for. I'm not coming back for life. So I pretty much, and like I said before in the last video, there is no rehabilitation in the prison system. Like either you decide to rehabilitate yourself because they're not going to do it for you.
Yeah, facts. That's how it is in Florida, man. So, all right, you're in Ironwood and you're getting out now. Did you, like, I know you said you were in the negativity. Was that the mind state when you got out that time? Like, just fuck it, I'm gonna run wild type shit?
Yeah, so I went in at 19 and ended up getting out at 23. I basically thought that going to prison had made me a tougher individual. I mean, I think mentally it kind of does, but it's like when you're that age, you're coming out to the streets, back to your homies and shit now, and it's like you kind of got some kind of clout with them, some sort of stripes, you know, because to them it's like, oh shit, you just got out the joint, blah blah blah. So it almost gives you like clout. So I came out with a fucked up mind state. I wasn't ready to change. I wasn't ready to get my shit together. I just wanted to run back out into the streets and start off from where I left off, you know?
Yeah. So how long was it before that you did something that sent you back to prison?
I ended up catching a DUI, which out here, when you got a 5B on your parole, which is like you're not supposed to possess or consume alcoholic beverages. So if the crime that you committed was under the influence of alcohol, they put a 5B stipulation on your parole, which means if they catch you drinking or if they catch you within your house or anything, they can violate you. So when I got the DUI, yeah, so when I got the DUI, it's obvious, like, I mean, I was drunk out of my mind and I rolled right up on the back of a cop car and slammed on my brakes. And when the light turned green, he pulled over, let me pass him, and he jumped in behind me, hit the lights. I was drunk. That's a year violation automatically. So I don't know if it's like that now. I don't know. I heard that the violations ain't the same as they used to be, but back then, that's an automatic year just for violating a 5B condition like that. So that was the second time that I went back. And
do they send you back to like the state prison, or can you do that in jail out there?
You could do violations in like Chino back then.
Okay.
It just depends on the type of room that they got. Like I said, it's totally different now. From when I first started going to prison, the California system has changed so much. They've got so much of a hold on it. Whereas like back in the day, the inmates pretty much ran shit. Now it seems more or less like it's the Department of Corrections that has a stranglehold on a lot of shit. So it's not even the same as it was when I first started going.
So when you went back for that year, man, like where did you, like, was your family with you? Like, did you have a girl? Like, how did you get through that year?
You know what's crazy is that I had just gotten into a relationship, and to me, I thought it was, you know, it was something that I wasn't really doing what I was supposed to do. So I'm pretty sure that, like, you know, she wasn't gonna stick around for too long. And when I did that violation, she pretty much split. And my family's always been there though. Like my mom, my dad, my sister, those are the 3 people that I can say have always stood by me. Like they would send me packages and stuff when I was in there. They would come and visit me when they could if it wasn't too far away, but they always had my back all the time.
So out of all your time in prison, man, like what was the one thing that you missed the most when you were locked up?
The one thing that I missed the most is the structure. I'm one of those types of dudes that's like, I love to have structure. So it means pretty much like, you know, you run, like you asked me earlier, like what type of program did you run in there? Well, yeah, you know, you're up at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting ready for breakfast. You go to breakfast, you come back, spend a little time, you know, reading or whatever it is that you do, bullshitting, watching TV. And then, you know, they open the yard up and you go out there and, you know, do your workout. I spent a lot of time working out on my last term because I was really like driven to not only transform my body into something that I had never done, like really tried to before, but also transform my mind. So most of my day, like after my workout was done, would be spent studying. Like I studied and studied and studied. I studied religion, philosophy, history, anthropology, science, math. I studied everything that I could possibly get my hands on because I just wanted to come out a better person all the way around. And I didn't want to have that same mind state.
That's what's up, man. So you sounds like on your last bid, you kind of use that time to really focus on what it's going to be like for you when you get out, like the mind, the body, the spirit, and everything like that. So that's good, man. Props to you for doing that. What was, man, when you were during all your prison? I know for me, man, when I was in prison, like, yeah, there's that violence, there's that, you know, the monotony of doing the same thing every day, but there's also some people in there that make your time go by. Like it's usually some funny weirdo or like just shit you can clown around with. What was the funniest thing, man, you think you saw out of your whole time doing time?
You know, and you're right. There was a few dudes in there that I used to spend a lot of time with, and that's exactly what we did. We would sit around and we would joke about a lot of shit. We would laugh about the past, clown. You know, the last place that I was in was because in California, what they did, because the population was so overcrowded, they started like renting out private prisons so they could hide some of the population in privately owned prisons.
What? So they were housing humans.
They were warehousing humans, not only out of state. They had inmates in California, in Tennessee, Arizona, Oklahoma. They had inmates all over the place that were kind of like off of the radar because they were telling California, like, you need to get this inmate population down. If you don't get it down, we're going to come in there and we're going to get it down for you. So they pretty much started sending inmates out of state for a while. But and some of these privately owned prisons that they would send you to, it was like more lax, more or less. You know what I mean? Like you didn't really have to worry about the politics too much. There was a little bit, but you didn't really have to worry about it like you did like on a level 4 yard or something like that. You could basically sit back and relax. You could joke around a little bit more. So I did have a few people in there that I spent a lot of my time with that weren't really trying to get involved in the politics themselves. So I would pretty much try to surround myself around those types of individuals, you know?
You see some crazy shit, man, when you're just clowning with dudes and shit in there. I've seen some crazy shit, but so, all right, man. So when you went back, you were at your second bid, you got out after doing that year for the DUI. And then, so what happened when you got out that time?
After the next time, after the DUI, the year flat that I did for that, came out still on my bullshit, hanging out in the nightclubs, hanging out in little hole in the wall strip joints, kind of fucking with drugs off and on, like doing a little meth here and there, staying up for days at a time, getting drunk. Went back to another strip club, was hanging out in there with a homegirl of mine that was actually a stripper in that club. And a couple dudes are sitting down in the front, throwing money at her and shit, but they're talking shit to her, like calling her fat, and she's fucking got stretch marks and fucking, what's up with you, you ugly little bitch. And I'm like looking at them like, because, you know, some of these spots up here where I live at, like really, you can literally come off of the street. It doesn't matter if you have kids. It don't matter. Like, as long as you look half-ass decent, you can go in there and fucking and shake your ass on the pole if you want. But these dudes were disrespecting her, man. So I'm like, man, fuck this shit. I got up and walked over to the pool stick rack and grabbed the pool stick and went over there and beat the dude's ass with it. They called the cops. Before I could get out of there, the cops rolled up, arrested me. Another assault with a deadly weapon. Like another 2.5 years. Another 2.5 years for that.
Damn, bro. So, all right. So when you did that 2.5 years, what prison system did you do that in? I know you said California, but like what actual prison did you end up going to that time in that bid?
I was in Pleasant Valley for a while. CMC. I think they sent me down to Avenal for a little while. And then at the end, I ended up paroling from a privately owned prison out here close to where I'm at.
All right. So was that bid that you're talking about right now, were you on the bullshit basically in that bid too? Or were you trying to change at that point?
Oh yeah, I was up in Soledad for a little while. I was still pretty much, you know, I was already sick of doing time by then. Like I was just sick of the nonsense, but I still wasn't ready to change. I still wasn't ready
Yeah.
to change. And, you know, I had a problem with alcoholism my whole life. So it was like, it was everything that I ever got involved with was behind alcoholism. It was behind drinking. It was behind being drunk, and everything that I was always involved with had to do some way or another with alcohol. So it was like, I was starting to think to myself, like, you know, it seems like if you don't knock this shit off, you're going to end up dead or doing life. It's
Yeah.
coming. It's right around the corner. I guarantee it. And I knew that in the back of my mind, you know?
I'm glad you brought that up, man, because I know in Florida, and it kind of sounds like it's the same everywhere, but I would say 70 to 80% of the people that are in prison went to prison either high, drunk, or one of the two. And what's crazy is like we can sit here and you could talk about how you knocked a dude out with a lock or you wet him up with a knife, and more people, it's going to get more views. But if I sit here and talk about, you know, this kid that ruined his life on drugs and ended up doing 5-10 years in prison, it won't get any views. And that's really what I don't understand, because more people are going through what you went through with the alcoholism, ending up arrested, going to prison, than, you know, a straight up gangster selling kilos that goes to prison and starts cutting people up left and right. Like that's rare. You know what I'm saying? Even the baddest gang members have a monkey on their back. It just depends on which kind of monkey it is. So when that was going on for you, man, like, were you trying to stop the alcohol, or were you kind of like, or was it just being brought to your attention that like, damn, like I'm really starting to face some consequences now when I start getting wasted?
It was getting to that point, like in my own head, like, and even people that were close to me were telling me like, man, you know, it seems like every time you drink, you break out in handcuffs. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that. You know, I mean, like, what do they say insanity is? And in AA, they say it's doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yep.
So it's like I would continue to do the same shit, hang around the same people, you know, fuck around with the same drugs, and continue drinking, and nothing ever came from it. Like I lost many relationships. Yeah, we could sit here and talk about, you know, the negativity about getting shot on the yard with a block gun, getting stabbed over some nonsense that really had nothing to do with me. We could talk about seeing motherfuckers get their throats slit and moving little bits of dope here and there across the yard. But like at the end of the day, all of that shit is gonna get more views because people are geared toward, they like drama. They like the exciting part of life. They don't like to hear about like somebody that can come from all that and still like change their life and move on to something better. Because like you said, the hardest gangsters, unless you're just a cold-hearted person that don't have no feelings, I guarantee you a lot of those dudes that are sitting in there doing life and looking back on their life wish that they would have turned around and did something better for themselves, because they ain't gonna see the light of day. They're never gonna get out of there. And I ain't here. I'm not here to promote the negativity, even though the negativity happens for sure. And I would like people to actually see, like, okay, you can start off as a kid going to prison and spend your whole life. I spent 15 years between the time I was 19 all the way up until I was 40 years old. Like pretty much all my 20s and 30s. I never had no time out here in the streets, and every time I came out, I ended up right back in the joint doing the same old fucking shit. I'm not here to glorify that. I'm not here to glamorize that lifestyle. I have respect for people that do live that lifestyle because that's what they're about. I have nothing to say about that. But as far as me personally, if you have the opportunity to change your life and your mind state and you want to live a productive life and actually have something for yourself, because I don't think being a gangster is out there doing all that nonsense. It's taking care of your kids. It's being respectful to women. It's getting a job and holding it down. It's paying your bills. That's what a gangster does.
Yeah, that's some gangster shit. So, all right, man. So you went back for the last time, and how long did you do that time?
5.5.
Okay. And when did you get out after that? How long has it been?
I went in and I actually remember the day, January 4th, 2012, and I got out November 17th, 2017.
Damn. All right. So what has your life been like since you got out, man? Like what's going on in your life today?
Well, by the grace of God, you know, I was actually change my whole perspective on life when I was in there. And I knew when I came out, I knew that I was going to meet the person that I was supposed to be with. Um, I didn't know how, but within 2 months, you know, I think I took my gate money actually and signed up for a little dating service just to see what I could find, because I was really wanting to find somebody that I could like spend the rest of my life with, somebody to hold me down. I didn't really want to be out there solo and having too much time to get caught up in some more shit. So within 2 months, I met my wife online. She lived in Vegas, and 2 months later, I went out there on a bus, on a Greyhound bus, and told her, I said, we're getting married. And I went out there in 2018. We were married, and we've been married almost 3 years now. We got our own little pad. Like it ain't a lot, but we own it. You know.
Yeah.
I just got off parole 2 months ago. Finally, after 3 years, I got off parole. I'm looking to go through back surgery right now so I can actually get back to work and stuff. But other than that, never had no violations. I got good family ties. I got good connections with my daughters. And I think life is great for me at this point, you know?
Yeah, man, that's good, bro. Congratulations. And I know you have what, 2 TikToks that are kind of, you know, growing and shit with people watching and followers. And I've watched some of them, man. If you guys haven't after this, check them out. They're fucking hilarious. And yeah, so did you want to tell them what your TikTok is in case they want to go follow you on that?
Well, you know what's crazy is that after we last talked, they banned me.
What?
I was close to 88,000 followers on one of my pages, and they banned me because I was talking a bunch of political shit and talking about the coronavirus and how I think it's all nonsense and this vaccine is nonsense. And next thing I know, they fucking completely banned me and deleted the entire account, bro.
Damn, bro. So you can't even ever get back on it again?
Well, I still have one of them open. It still has like 56,000 followers on it. I can still access that one, but the other one got deleted. If I was going to give anybody a place to go check me out, it would be you could check me out on YouTube, or you could go to Bandcamp. All you got to do is just type in Deadlock on Google, and you can check out my music. I'd much rather promote the music because there's a lot of positive messages in my music as well. If you guys want to check that out.
Yeah, facts. So what kind of music do you do? Hip hop?
Yeah, I've been doing that for a long time, man. Since like I think the first time I started writing lyrics was probably 1998. I try to keep it positive. Basically, most of the songs that I write about are like actual situations that I've been through. There's one song that I wrote called "The Monster," and this isn't particularly about me because I never really had this situation with my family, but it's about individuals that might have been molested when they were growing up, and like they're too afraid to talk to people about it. And like whether it's a family member or whether it's somebody close to you when you were a child and maybe they did something to hurt you. So I put that song out. I also put a song out about my daughters, a lot of songs about being in prison, and a lot of songs about being homeless and on drugs and stuff. So I really try to talk about things that I can relate to and that have actually impacted my own life.
That's crazy that you say that. I'm actually just interviewed. I don't know if you've heard of this guy or not, but his name's Jason Vukovich. They called him the Alaskan Avenger, and he literally like looked up sexual predators on the registry online and went to their house and, you know, mollywopped them a couple times. And now he's doing like 23 years in prison.
Yeah, I heard about him.
Yeah. So I interviewed his sister, and that's going to be dropping soon too. But awesome. Man, yeah, man, it was a good interview. But all right, man. Well, hey, I just want to thank you for coming on the channel again, man. I think you really like have turned your life around and you have a positive message. And that's why I wanted to get you back on the channel so people can hear that. People need to hear that. They need to see an example in front of them, especially the ones that are still in that shit, that, you know, change is possible and we did it so you can do it type shit, man. So
I'm really glad that you let me be involved in it. I appreciate what you do, man. And there's not very many people out there that are actually trying to get, you know, these individuals that have gone through things in their life to try to promote the positive side at the end of the day. So I appreciate what you're doing and much success to you, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. So, hey, man, if you guys haven't, you know the deal. Hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. Drop a comment, positive comment. And with that, it's DOC TV, and we're out.